Welcome, guys. How's it going? Welcome to the Radio Toons podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Ernie.
And we're recording this during the day, which is really strange.
Yeah.
Because it's been pretty hectic. We were supposed to go to Retro City Festival this weekend. We couldn't even go.
No, it was just a bunch of stuff happened over the weekend.
There's been like a bug going around. Everyone's getting sick.
Yeah,
so we basically just found a random time during the day to record this. So whatever. I know you guys don't care about that shit, but whatever.
Day play Toons.
Yeah. So the big news, I guess you would say, what everyone's kind of talking about right now is Nintendo announced something called Nintendo Labo.
Yeah, I think it's big news because it's not that it's always big news with Nintendo because they always do something really weird, right?
Gimmicky, how it's
I mean, there's plenty of other things like Overwatch had its new things or his new costumes being released today. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening, but this thing stands out because it's like, just when you thought they had done everything they could with the Switch in terms of motion controls and everything, now they're trying to sell us cardboard.
Yeah, it's okay. So first impressions, for me, first impressions were like, this looks fucking stupid. But like after a bit of thinking, I'm like, well, it's for kids, and think about the kind of shit that you bought when you were a kid. Like, we had the Power Pad for the NES.
Mm-hmm.
We had like a bunch of like knockoff light guns and like
like
the weird peripherals. That's the kind of stuff that appeals to kids. So I could see that like. I could see a kid growing up with this and being very inspired to be like some kind of creative, I don't know, cardboard making, whatever.
I could see that. To me, it's more of I want to see what's happening, because the way that it was presented in the trailer makes it seem like these are the starting points.
Okay.
And that there's the potential for this can be like you can create your own, because it's literally just a printed piece of cardboard that they send you along with the software.
Fucking $70 though.
But the thing is, it's like every piece of cardboard comes with a piece of software.
Okay.
So anything that you get, like for example, the variety kit right now comes with like 5 pieces, one of which includes the piano, which also comes with its own little piece of software which helps you play the piano.
Okay.
Right? So it's like every little piece that comes with it comes with a piece of cardboard that you form, and then you put the Wii controls inside of it.
Switch.
The Switch. Sorry.
Oh, whoa.
Slip of the tongue.
Yeah, a little Freudian slip there.
It's really funny because the way, like, they show you all the pieces and everything, and the way that I figured out the way the piano works is that they show it briefly in the trailer. The Wii control, the Switch control goes in the back and uses the IR sensor to see which key is being pushed down, because light, the keys when you push them down allow light to come in from the outside.
Right.
So that's what it's detecting. So that's what makes the piano play.
Oh,
which is clever.
It's similar to the Power Glove.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody cares about that, the Power Glove would use, the Power Glove. That's how it worked, right? It used to use tubes, and whichever tube was on your finger that like bent, it would not have light on coming into it.
Well, that was the original idea.
Something weird like that.
It was the original because it was fiber optic tubes that went through your finger.
Right.
And the more you bent it, the less light came out.
Something like that, yeah.
But they changed it to sound, if you remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why it didn't work all the way.
So that's why it was terrible.
Yeah, that's what was terrible.
I do remember.
So in this Nintendo thing, there's the variety pack that comes with 5, and then there's the big robot kit that you saw.
That's the one that cost $70?
That's the one that cost $80. $80. It's $79.99
or
whatever.
Shit,
yeah.
Okay.
It's all being pre-ordered right now for release, because it comes out $420.
I can't imagine somebody like holding on to this though for that long. You know what I'm saying?
That's the issue. It's cardboard. It's not going to last long.
I feel like you're going to find it's going to be like the Wii, where you would have all these jank-ass like peripherals lying around the house, and the battery packs were always lost because people had rechargeable batteries.
I think that's the idea, is that you're buying mostly the software, and then you can just reprint the cardboard.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean? Like, how much does it cost to print a piece of cardboard? Or if they sell you the template, like if you can download a new template on a piece of paper, and then you trace out the parts that you need on a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, I guess
so it's like
true.
I see like what you mentioned before. The Wii and the Wii U had like a bunch of peripherals to stick onto your controller to make them something else, and then they're like, well, we have to make them super cheap. Let's just make them out of cardboard.
Okay,
right?
I guess environmentally this is a lot more sound.
Yeah,
it's
but it's more
now-
like if we need to have them replace it, let's just make it easy. They get a piece of cardboard, they cut out the piece they need, and they fold it the same way. So I get what's going. The only other problem is the rubber bands. Like the rubber bands that they're showing are like these huge rubber bands. Like they don't sell those everywhere, and those rubber bands are gonna dry out and snap eventually. Like especially with the robot.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the longevity of it. Basically, I feel like it's very like temporary. You know. I guess that's cardboard in general. It's just very temporary, you know. So
I think that's the idea, but I mean, the way that it's being shown again feels like the starting point of this is this, and then they're gonna have like make your own, and then print it off of Nintendo. Like there's gonna be a design lab that comes out after this.
Okay.
Once people get the idea, and then you can cut your own parts out, because in the trailer as well there was a part where there's a tutorial with the software that shows you step by step how you put it together.
Right.
So that means that they already have a design program implemented to see how everything fits together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I could understand that, like, this is... Like, I saw a lot of people that were kind of upset about it.
I'm half and half on this, to be honest.
People were expecting, I guess, a bigger announcement coming from a Nintendo Direct, whatever the fuck. It was called a mini Direct or something like that. But it's like... it's for kids, you know. I'm not really knocking it yet. Like, if you end up buying it, sure, I'm gonna try it out. You know,
you're gonna put on the robot suit?
Maybe we'll see.
Because you see what that thing is, right?
What?
It's a head thing that you put the Nintendo like.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that was actually leaked before that patent or whatever was leaked online beforehand. People were like, "Oh, I guess this is Nintendo's answer to VR."
Right.
But I guess there was a whole fucking suit of armor that came with that. So whatever.
Because that particular kit comes with 2 straps.
Or
sorry, 3 straps. The one for your head.
Okay.
And then the 2 that go over your feet. Because remember, there's 2 parts where you stomp. Like.
What about your arms?
The arms are the Wii or the Switch remotes.
The Joy-Cons.
Yeah. Those things, the main thing goes over your face. You wear the backpack that's the pulley system.
This is so fucking ridiculous.
And then you got the 2 feet. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole project. It's
I'm gonna have to see this in real life and formulate an opinion then, because I don't know. Right now, it just seems like that kind of thing where, like, I see it in the trailer and I'm like, cool. Is it actually work? You know?
What it comes down to, in my opinion, is going to be the software. Because they showed that really cool robot transformation and him breaking buildings and everything. And, I mean, it could be, because of the cardboard, it could be a lot more responsive. Okay. Because there's only so much you can do.
Right.
But the pulley system will be kind of like what triggers the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, the software, if it's not fun...
Yeah.
Like, we bought 1-2 Switch. I
thought it was pretty bad.
I mean, there you go. The software... The implementation of a couple of the games were cool.
Yeah.
But the rest of the software was pretty bad. The milking cow one was dumb.
There was not enough games that, like, warranted... Well, it was $50.
Was it 50?
Yeah, I was really mad.
I mean, and it's especially considering that the Wii came with Wii Sports bundled.
That's a whole big thing. They had to work on cutting stuff down because the Switch is a certain price.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is that, like, you know what, I like Legos, and we used to like Connects, and we used to like all these, any type of kind of like erector set thing. Mm-hmm. So I could understand how building this is half the fun.
Right.
So, like, building that little like backpack thing, it might actually be enjoyable.
I think so.
So who knows? We'll see. Like I said, I think it's a little bit too early.
It's too early to call for sure.
Yeah.
And there was some things that they showed in the trailer that weren't in the variety kits. Like, there was this thing that was like, it almost looked like a drum pedal.
They showed that.
They showed like a foot pedal, but it sounded like a airplane thing. Like, when you pushed on it, it like it's what do I want to say?
Like
it sounded like a jet taking off because it went.
Maybe it's like a car.
Could be, because there is one that's a motorcycle.
More likely, it's a car.
No, like there's a motorcycle one.
Okay.
And that could have been what that is, and maybe that's the foot pedal for it. Mm-hmm. But the one that looked like a drum pedal is not part of the kit. So I'm wondering if they're gonna do that's gonna be like a music set or something. Like they seem to be leading to this whole creativity scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's cool to see a new creative way to use their system. You know, like if portability and like multiple controllers isn't enough for you, then sure, this is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna wait till it comes out. Like I said, I know I've said that a bunch of times already, but I really comes out on 4/20, whatever.
Yeah, that's let's see, February, March, so it's 3 months away, right?
By the way, I can't wait to hear all the jokes about every game that comes out on 4/20. Like Jesus Christ, that's just the date, dude. Am I gonna have to hear all these fucking jokes? Okay, whatever. Anyway, we're getting off track. I did see.
Dude, like just as a side note, I remember 420 was actually a big deal because remember when we used to work on G4? They would do a whole week of 420.
God.
They sent Kevin and Olivia to like Jamaica. They sent them to Amsterdam. They used to do like a whole thing, and they would show like Half Baked. Like it was a big deal.
Great.
We actually got a lot of ratings for that week.
Oh really?
Yeah.
All right.
So it was
cool
at some point. Anyway, yeah.
I saw a movie this week though.
Yeah.
I saw Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I've never seen the first one. I had never seen the first one. I had only seen the second one. The second one was kind of like a classic in our family. We would always have it on.
Oh, the Nature Calls, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw the first one, and it's definitely more like disgusting, I guess, than the second one. It has a lot more like I don't know, a lot of
adult jokes.
Yeah, because even the ending is like Jesus Christ, like this guy.
By the way, spoilers if you haven't seen this 20-year-old movie.
I won't spoil it.
I'll spoil it because there's a lot of talking points in it about it.
Like what?
Like the ending of the first one is a mystery kind of thing. In the second one, there is kind of a mystery to it, but it doesn't ruin the movie or anything.
Well, whatever. I thought the first one was pretty funny. I would recommend it if you like Jim Carrey, especially. A lot of the jokes were pretty good. Jim Carrey's like that kind of guy that carries the whole movie. I was watching this movie, and the whole time I was thinking like, could you imagine carrying a whole fucking movie based off of like your own performance? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so many of the shots are just him in the camera, or like him doing some weird voice, or like him talking with his ass. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this guy is ridiculous, dude. Like, as a comedic actor, I'm like, I think it's pretty impressive that he's able to carry the whole movie like that. Because
I think it's interesting that Jim Carrey as a stand-up comedian. I don't really like his stand-up.
Yeah, he might be whatever. I haven't seen
his like he mostly did impressions.
Yeah, you were talking like about that last week.
Yeah, and so seeing him in this and seeing that it's not the lines that are funny, it's the delivery of the lines that are funny.
Yeah,
makes it so that Jim Carrey's his performance is better than the comedy of it.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like I couldn't really imagine anybody else pulling off that character as well as he does. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if like the hair was his idea or like what?
I think it's all a take. I think it's all a take on like a classic detective style. You know, because whenever you go into these old-time detective movies or detective stories or everything, they're always coming off their last case.
Okay.
Like successfully getting something.
Yeah.
And then there's this big overarching case that is like, I'll find my wife's killer or something like that, right? So those tropes are all in the first Ace Ventura, because in the first one it opens with him solving the first case.
Right.
Getting a huge reward for it. Quote unquote a reward. You know, he successfully does something, and then the next one that comes along is like the case that we're in, but then there's this third case that he's constantly working at.
Is it the pigeon or
the
whatever?
pigeon that the albino pigeon that he's trying to get? So that's the whole joke, is that he can't get it because once he gets that pigeon, he's set for life. You know, it's like a $3 million bird or whatever.
That's right.
See?
Yeah.
So that's the big one. Once he gets that one, he's all done. So those are all present in the first one. The second one is a parody of the first one.
Okay.
So everything is kind of thrown out the window, because in the second one, if you take what the first one was supposed to be, it's supposed to be a parody of detective movies. The second one is just a parody of Ace Ventura, not of being a detective.
It's just more of the same, I guess.
No, it's just the character that's already been established. You're doing a parody of him, because like they do that cliffhanger thing in the beginning. You know?
So he's more exaggerated. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's like it's more exaggerated. The first one was closer to be set in the real world. Because like, come on, dude. Like he dropped a monkey. Like the opening scene is when he drops the monkey.
In part 2, he drops a raccoon or something.
No, it's a raccoon. Sorry, he drops a raccoon and then he's like in a Buddhist temple for like it's ridiculous, you know. But in the first one, he's like a struggling detective, and nobody takes him seriously because he's a pet detective. So it's all kind of realistic.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's funny because there was just scenes where the line or the dialogue it wasn't really funny.
Yeah.
But just him saying it was like, fuck, this guy's...
Yeah,
there's like scenes... I don't know, there's a scene where he's driving, right? And his windshield's broken, so he can't look out his windshield, so he has to look out the side.
Yeah.
And just the way he says things, like looking out the window like that with his glasses and everything, I'm just like, this guy is such a fucking character.
We reviewed this movie in Cal High. Because it's weird, okay? So we had...
At your high school.
Yeah. Remember, Miss Tonkovich was our video teacher lady.
Okay.
And, what's it called? She reviewed, because she had the script for the thing, the first one, and then she had the movie, and she's like, I want you to just take a look at this guy's performance, because here in the script it says, Jim Carrey goes from the bathroom window to this other place. Like, it's only 2 lines, right? And it says, this character goes here and goes here, right? But that scene where Jim Carrey goes to the bathroom, goes out the window, and goes to the pool, there's no dialogue. It's just him, like, mockingly walking over. He does, like, the whole Mission Impossible thing.
Yeah.
That's what that is. And it's, like, 2 minutes of just him saying, look at what I can do physically here.
Exactly. It's his performance that really sells the movie, which I think is ridiculous. By the way, I didn't know that you guys did, like, movie reviews.
Well, it's
because I had that same teacher, and by the time she was our teacher, she didn't care.
No,
that class was a joke. Everyone was just sitting around, and she would just throw on whatever, and fuck, that's funny.
Yeah, no, she was a lot more
ambitious back then.
Yeah, because remember she loaned me a camera to do a stop motion animation.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I did with Legos.
We hardly did any video stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
But just taking a look at that, you can see how much Jim Carrey carries that film in particular.
You know what's funny too is like that movie and The Mask, they ended up making like cartoons out of.
Yeah, and which is weird because both of those were terrible.
The cartoons?
Both cartoon, The Mask and Ace Ventura were terrible.
But what I'm saying is that people loved this guy so much they were able to, or at least they thought that a cartoon of him would sell.
Yeah, but like again, like we were saying, he sold the whole thing.
Exactly, that's why they didn't work. Right?
That's why they didn't work.
Yeah, but I just think that's the power that he had back then in the fucking 90s.
Which is funny because The Mask was, if I'm not mistaken, The Mask was a comic book before it was a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's really funny is that he elevated that series to something else. Okay. Like he took the comic, turned it into this big movie, and they thought, okay, this is a franchise now. We're gonna do a freaking, you know.
I mean, they did a trilogy, but they weren't good.
Oh my gosh, I forgot there was The Mask Part 2 and 3.
There was
Son of the Mask.
Right.
And what was the third one?
Or maybe there was just 2. I don't know.
No, because there was one with a baby as the mask. That was Son of the Mask.
That was Son of the Mask.
Then I saw one with Jamie Kennedy? Or is that the same movie?
One. Yeah.
Okay, maybe just 2 then.
Baby Mask.
Son of the Mask.
Yeah, Revenge of Baby Mask.
They thought that Jamie Kennedy could pull it off.
Has Jamie Kennedy pulled anything off? No offense.
Really quick, I remember the Jamie Kennedy experiment.
Yeah.
First season 1 and 2. I remember he tried to make "You've Been X'd" a thing, and every single response was like, "What's that?"
Oh yeah. You know what's funny? I remember like that whole series he was saying, "You're on my new hidden camera show called The Jamie Kennedy Experience," and I was like, when is this motherfucker gonna stop saying that? Like, do people not know what the show is?
You've been X'd. What is that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. Have I been audited? Am I in trouble? Are you guys like the IRS or something? No. It's a hidden.
Come on. I'm Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, it's a camera show. It's a camera show.
Come on. Malibu's Most Wanted?
Whatever.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
Not out
Sorry,
here.
what?
Man, those were big back then. Remember that? There was like a whole slew of them.
What exactly do you mean?
Though at least there was Punked, at least.
Oh yeah, well
that went side by side with that one.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what's funny is that you bring up Jim Carrey. He's been all over Netflix because of that documentary that was released.
Yeah, and they put a bunch of his movies up too.
That's why, because they want to show like it's called Jim and Andy, and it shows his like progression through that film.
That movie didn't interest me. I haven't seen it yet. I just thought it was kind of like, I was like, look, like I said before, it's like I like Jim Carrey on screen. I don't really care so much about his behind the scenes or his stand up or like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I totally get you. The only reason he's kind of been in my head recently is because he did the what is it, the comedians in cars getting coffee.
Right.
He's like number 1 for some reason in that series. And what I think is really funny is that they show him in that where he's pretty much doing the documentary, like the same age as where he introduces the documentary, and it shows him doing his stuff back then. Like he's super meta and got into the character so much that he had people call him Andy.
Yeah.
And then Andy had another personality named Tony, and people like were calling him an asshole and blah 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 and all this stuff. Like that's really scary to me.
Yeah.
When people do that, it's not like people are like, wow, he's so meta. I was like, wow, something's wrong with that person.
That movie didn't even do well, right?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't like you. I didn't care to watch it because it's about this comedian named
Andy Kaufman,
right? Who was big on SNL, and he was big on a show. I think it's called Taxi.
Okay.
I never really heard of him, and I don't consider him a comedy legend like Jim does.
Yeah, I don't know. I might check that movie out, but
the documentary, to me, the documentary is more interesting than the actual film, because the film is about this person.
Yeah, I'm
right, and I'm just like, great. He was a comedian. I never really got into him. I think I'd need to see a lot of his comedy to get it.
Yeah.
But a lot of his comedy was, like, people getting agitated and things like that. So I don't know if that's my brand of comedy.
You know, it's weird. You said that people get agitated.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this thing. It was a Conan documentary. I forget what it was called. Do you remember that?
A Conan one. Yeah, the one where he's doing his tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. That was a great one.
I remember there were so many people would get so pissed off at that guy because he would just never stop.
Yeah.
He was just always joking and always on. And at one point, Jack McBrayer, the guy that plays the page on
Kenneth
30 Rock.
Yeah, Kenneth.
Yeah. That guy's like fucking like actually mad at him, and he won't stop like roasting him like as he's standing there, and I'm like, dude, like I guess you just get into a mindset where you're like, the audience, the world loves me. I'm going to be myself, and I don't give a fuck about anybody else, basically, because I'm not trying to say Conan's an asshole, but he just doesn't stop. Like,
I think...
I could see Jim Carrey being that same way, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think, like, watching him go through that tour, there was a bit of, like, he was doing that tour with a bunch of money that he got from NBC because they were like, we don't want you.
Yeah.
Here's your paycheck. Go do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do...
a talk show or something,
You can't do a talk... I think something like that was... They never revealed what his deal actually was.
Uh-huh.
But I have a feeling that's what it was, and that's why it took him so long to get a new late-night talk show.
Uh-huh.
But I sense a bitterness in his performances because he's just like... F them and blah blah. Even when he's playing his guitar, it almost seems like I'm pissed.
I guess that's the tone of the whole thing. Then
it really is because, and I mean, the documentary's name is Never Stop.
Is that what it's called?
I think it's something like that because I remember seeing it's like him on a guitar and it's like Conan O'Brien just can't, or it's like Just Can't Stop or something. Oh like
yeah, I think that's what it's called. Can't Stop.
And like no one does he give it to more than Sona. Okay. His assistant, he's always just like, because there's behind the scenes to that documentary, and there's just parts where he just keeps giving it to her and giving it to her, and like every 5 minutes she's like, you know, Sona, I should really get an assistant who actually does things for me, gets things done on time, isn't always on her phone, and it's just like, if you didn't know Conan was a comedian, you'd just think he was a big jerk.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying is like sometimes it's like I know this guy's a comedian. But the people that he's talking to, especially like that scene with Jack McBrayer, I'm like, this dude looks like he's gonna cry, like, and Conan won't stop like talking shit to him.
And what's funny is that that character Kenneth is really close to his personality. He's like this really friendly dude, always kind of smiling.
Country guy.
Yeah, and yeah, I can see why Conan went after him. He's such an easy target.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
And when I've known this about musicians, artists, comedians, whatever it is. When you get into a groove and you have all these ideas, you just want to keep going no matter what.
Right.
And I think that's what happened. Not to say that Conan wasn't a jerk. He's a total jerk in that scene.
Yeah.
He's like, I actually felt like slapping him in the face and be like, dude, shut up. Like, but I can see why that was the case. You know
where did you watch that, by the way? Because I think I
watched it online on like YouTube.
I think it was on TV at one point, and I only caught like half of it.
I thought it was on Netflix at some point.
It might be on Netflix.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we're recommending that now too. If you
well, Conan O'Brien altogether, his whole story of like late night blah blah blah, is so interesting, and it's so crazy to think that this is the same, like this is the same network that had this big late night fight back in the 70s with David Letterman and Jay Leno. Like, they went through this already.
Yeah.
You think they would have learned how to do it right, you know? Wow. But anyway, yes. Very, very cool. Like, if there's anyone else I would love to get on Comedians in Cars would be probably
Conan O'Brien.
Conan and Jerry. I think that'd be an interesting talk.
That sounds ridiculous. I'm thinking about it right now. It just sounds ridiculous.
Like my favorite parts of Conan are always his things where he goes out and is like...
Oh, yeah, On Location Conan.
On Location Conan is hilarious.
Definitely the funniest stuff, yeah. Just him being himself, basically. Because, no offense to his writers, but some of his monologue jokes nowadays are very, like...
They're late-night jokes.
Okay.
They're late-night jokes. You go to any late-night show, and it's just all the same.
No,
he's like...
You know what? Like,
the president screwed up.
People might hate me for saying this, but I feel like his show in New York was a lot smarter. A lot of his jokes were a lot... I don't know. They were like more well written, or they were a lot more subtle. Because I feel like his California jokes basically are like stupider. Like, they're a lot more low brow. Like, they have to appeal to like his audience, and I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. To be honest, when I watch Conan, I always just watch the bits on YouTube.
Well, and
because I don't have cable.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is like you could argue that okay, this is Conan. Like, how many years has he been doing the show? Of course, towards the beginning, it's better than at the end.
When you move locations, your material changes, because you're talking about New York funny, and then you're talking about California funny.
That's what I'm talking about. Maybe just in my head, I think of New York as like classier, or like more. I don't know. Maybe
I think there's more of a there's more of a callousness to New York.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
So and completely the opposite of what I just said.
No, because I think California is way more chill than New York.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, in every aspect of it, it's more chill. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe he had more of an edge in New York, because living in New York kind of gives you that, like, edge. And then California, you're just like, you're chill, you're at the beach.
You know, it's funny, Bill Burr says that. Bill is like, he's like, East Coast, he's like, if you're not funny, people will tell you to your fucking face that you're not funny. And, like, he's like, if you can make it in a comedy club in New York or Boston, he's like, you're set.
Yeah.
Because those are the places where you got to make it. It's like California's a little more like...
Well, so then, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
I think, and you know, whether or not that's better or worse, I don't know. Because, again, his location stuff is still super funny. Like, some of the best bits are just, he took a guy on his staff who was really into Taco Bell to the Taco Bell headquarters, which is located here in Irvine.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And just because you give Conan a test kitchen and he's just hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's just the charisma and the power that he has.
And just to bring it back, it's the same kind of thing as Jim Carrey. Like, you give Jim Carrey a situation where he can be funny, doing something, like having something to do, not just Jim Carrey on a mic. Yeah. You know what I mean? You give something for him to do. Like, one of his better movies isn't even a comedy. It's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I really love that film.
I've never seen that movie.
I think you'd get a kick out of it because it's more of a serious Jim Carrey, kind of like Truman Show.
Yeah.
But it has such a wacky premise that his physical humor comes out because at some point he's playing a little kid.
Okay.
But his image of himself is It's him,
Right.
you know? And so all these different situations that he's put into where he has to do certain actions, but he's still an adult.
Yeah.
It's a really great, interesting film. And
Okay.
this is, and again, it's kind of that hyper reality we kind of enjoy, where this is a time or some sort of other world where you can erase somebody's memory.
That movie sounds like a trip, so maybe
It
I
is.
should
It
check
is.
out.
Most of the good stuff takes place in his head.
Is it on Netflix? Maybe I'll check it out.
I don't know if it's on Netflix, but I'm sure you can find it.
Well, they
to
should
watch.
put it on Netflix.
With all this Jim Carrey stuff, right?
Yeah. But we did finish that show we were talking about last week, episodes.
Yeah, episodes. Great, great series. What would you rate the finale?
I was actually... I try to watch shows like more than once, just so I can kind of gauge my real opinion on it, I guess. I would say the beginning is a little bit slow. It's a slow start, but once you get into it, I think it's a really great show. I would recommend it. Not just if you're into Friends, just if you want something good to watch. I've always enjoyed shows that have like continuity and that actually end. You know, so it has that going for it. It's basically Matt LeBlanc's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Personally, I kind of agree with everything you said. The beginning's really... The reason the beginning is so slow is because...
It has to set up stuff. Yeah.
It has to set up stuff, but you're being brought in with these British characters. Like, you're them, essentially, coming into this. And so there's a lot of hope dropped right in the beginning, and then it all gets stripped away in the first few episodes. Right? Not to keep saying episodes so much, but... That's kind of how it's situated. But after you get past, I think, the 4th episode, they become conscious of what they're going to have to do. And from there, then on, things aren't just happening to them. They're actively working towards doing things.
Right.
And in my opinion, Matt LeBlanc doesn't change throughout the whole thing. That's what makes it funny.
Right.
Is that no matter what, Matt LeBlanc stays the same. The people that change are the 2 British people, and everybody around them pretty much stays the same, except for the 3rd character, who you really like, who's Carol.
Carol, that's her name.
Carol.
I was trying to think of her name.
Carol is probably like.
Okay,
it's
something. Carol is the shining gem of this show. I think.
You know why? I figured out why you love her so much.
Why?
So the reason that you like Carol so much is she's the exact opposite of the 2 writers, because they come in outside of Hollywood and then essentially become Hollywood throughout the entire. She is already Hollywood when you start,
right?
And then she becomes like a human being throughout the entire series because of all the things that happen to her.
She changes so much.
So much.
You know what's cool too is like I feel maybe this isn't the case, but I feel like she was given more liberties with the character towards the end of the show, because she goes from, like, the beginning of the show, she's kind of wacky, right? The ending episodes, she really plays up that wackiness because her life is just, like, not to spoil it, but her life is just in turmoil, basically.
Yeah. Because, again, like, she used to be the thing that destroyed these 2 writers' careers.
Yeah.
And now she's, again, we're trying not to spoil too much, but she's not as omnipresent as before. I don't know what you want to call it. And now, like, she's kind of struggling at the end, and that's. But I have to say, 5 seasons is exactly the amount of time that this needed to complete itself.
Yeah, it was a good amount of time.
Yeah, before it got too stagnant. Before I thought, okay, now they're just doing this because they need something for them to do.
I think in season 4, definitely, I felt that. I was like, okay, I feel like they're kind of reaching here for stories, so I hope they end it soon. And yeah, it's only 5 seasons, so.
I mean, when I started the series, I was like, I know how this is going to end. And I was pretty much on target because the way they presented the story to start with, like in the first 4 episodes, you're like, okay, so if the exact opposite of this happens, this is what's going to happen.
It was a good finale too.
It was a good finale.
I think when you're creating something, anything, it's really hard to end it. Ending is always the hardest part. So I really appreciate when shows have really good endings that are satisfying, because I personally think that's really hard to do. So
especially when you have to close everything off in a satisfactory manner.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that doesn't do it in a way that's like, we need to tie this up really quick. Yeah. So here's this. Everything,
and it's not rushed either.
No.
I don't feel like the ending's rushed. It takes its time.
Yeah.
Just a really, really well done show, I think. Also,
It's kind of a thing.
Also, one of my other favorite characters was Merc Lapidus.
I really hated that
because
dude.
he is such a vile, just scum of the earth human being. But
and that's saying something.
That's kind of like the point of his character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how you know somebody's playing the character well.
Yeah.
Is if they're making you feel the way you're supposed to feel about them.
I mean, in the very beginning, the relationship, Merc is Carol's boss, and their relationship, I don't buy for a second. No. I really don't. But there is enough in Carol's performance that tells me, you know what, just buy it for now,
right?
Because it's not gonna be there for long. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I'll buy this for now then, kind of thing.
Okay.
But it kind of rests on her performance because Merc. Oh God, I hate Merc because he's kind of one-dimensional, right? And even though
he's not supposed to be super he's not supposed to have a lot of substance in the first place.
No, he's not.
The point of him is that he's kind of like a just one-dimensional, kind of guy.
He's out for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna have to wrap this up already. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of time today. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so those were our thoughts on episodes. I would recommend it. I think it's a pretty good show.
No, it definitely is. If you have a chance to watch it, it's on Netflix now.
Yeah.
And if you're if you're a fan of Friends,
yeah,
you'll love it.
Yeah.
Not because it's like Friends, but because
it's nothing like Friends.
It's nothing like Friends, but you'll like it. Trust me.
All right, Ernie. Any final thoughts?
Maybe buy the Nintendo Labo. Maybe. 50-50. And then lastly, just a shout out to one of our listeners.
Okay.
At Proper Technique, Gerard. Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday. But yeah, so that does it for this week, guys. See you next week.
See you next week, guys.